listening to Polished Woman, only on LA Talk Radio.
Hello there once again, Polished Women. Okay, to continue from last week, if you didn't watch it, we are talking about college advice. And on my right side is the founder of Magellan, Magellan College Counseling, Evelyn Alexander. And then on my left is my friend she has one daughter that's already in college and another one who's going to college. I have to talk about more of this, and I'm like, I need more, but we only have 30 minutes, so I said, okay, I want to extend it because there's so much question. If you didn't watch the one of last week, try to watch it first, and then this is the continuation. Now I want to talk about the money.
Definitely.
Okay, the finances, and how, okay, this is a good question. How, if you cannot afford, you don't have any sports and you cannot afford to go to college, what is the best thing that this student can do?
Okay, so the paying for it is one of the other stress points in this process.
Yes.
Last week I talked about testing. So here's the deal with athletic scholarships.
Okay.
There is 4 times more money given to students with good grades and good test scores.
Okay.
So 4 times more money given for merit than given for athletics or outside scholarships. You know how people every year say, oh, there's so many scholarships out there, all this money left on the table? It's baloney. The money is for good grades and test scores. Now, here's the bad news. Some schools give merit, some schools don't. So you have to be willing, if you sort of fixate on one of the name schools don't give merit money. They don't need to lure people there.
Okay.
So if you need or want merit money, you have to be willing to look broadly.
Okay.
You have to be willing to look broadly.
Oh, so you can't really choose what college
You can
go to.
choose what college you go to, but you have to be willing to look beyond sort of the names that you know. So I'll give you an example. I had a student that I was working with last week who was not admitted to the UCs. So the UCs, if you're an in-state resident, if you count tuition, room, board, books, all that, blah, 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 it comes out to about $34,000 a year.
Okay.
P.S., you might not graduate in 4 years, so there's a little hidden cost there. It might go 5. So think about $150,000 for a UC. I helped this student go apply to a state school out of California, but in the western United States, where there happens to be sort of a tuition compact, and the states kind of give each other students a little bit of a tuition break. And if he ends up going, it would be the University of New Mexico. He would probably pay about $20,000 a year for 4 years.
Oh, wow.
It's a really good deal.
Okay,
It's a really good
which is nowadays it's like around what? How much? 40 or 50,000 a year, right?
Or for private, it's more than that.
It's more than that,
Yeah, it
right?
could be 60, 70.
Oh wow!
Plus getting there.
Plus getting there.
Plus getting there and back and
couple
there
times.
and back again.
Yeah.
So that is a big expense, which I didn't really fully realize until I was in it.
Yeah.
How many flights you're going to be doing back and forth, moving your student in, and then family weekend,
which is like
Thanksgiving,
4 weeks later, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
winter break, spring break,
yeah, and then you going there as
then
well.
Right.
If
Yeah.
they join a sorority fraternity,
Yeah.
they often have family weekends, so that's an
Right.
extra weekend. It can be a separate mom's weekend and a separate dad's weekend.
Oh my
Yikes.
gosh! It does
You
not
might
stop
be
there.
You might be
Yeah.
going at the end of the year to move your student out,
Right.
So it's
my
quite a long
gosh.
trip. Something to think about.
I know, because
for
you've been
sure.
going out of you've been going out of
Yes,
town as well.
right.
But Deb, did you, before your first child went to college, did your family or you and your husband get an assistance to from someone like her company? Did you?
We did.
Yeah.
We did with our first. It had been obviously many years since we thought about this, and we did, and it was hugely helpful.
Mm-hmm.
One of the most helpful things for us was the person we worked with put our daughter on a timeline.
Yeah, you were just talking about that. Yeah.
So we knew that she was going to be applying early, which meant that her applications were going to be due November 1st.
Okay.
And we knew that was going to come fast once school started.
Yeah.
So we met with her the summer before her senior year, and she put her on a timeline. She said, okay, these are the schools you're applying to. This is when everything is due.
Yeah.
So you're going to do this by the end of July, then this by the end of August, and so that by the time we got to November 1, she was able to crank out 8 applications because
That is
It is
so
time
It's a lot of effort.
good. Yeah.
It's a lot of effort.
Wow. Did she have, okay, because my daughter, she's in sports. Did she have any sports that she did? Was it important for her to have a sports? I mean, was it big for her?
sports
Yeah.
were not a huge part of
Yeah.
her life. She did.
Because I feel like with the people who have sports, it's easy for them to get to school, right?
Yeah,
it's so
yeah.
easy. But
Yeah.
with people, but with like
Yeah,
your daughter,
she did have sports her first 2 years of high school, and then
Yeah.
she focused on other things. But really, what it seems to me the schools want her to see is just something that you're passionate
Yeah.
about and have a commitment to, whether it be sports or a strong interest
Yeah.
or community service. So it can be sports and
Yeah.
it can be other things.
I think
Yeah.
one of the things that parents kind of mistake right now is that when we applied to college, you needed to be well-rounded, right? Which means you needed
That's
a little
so true.
of this and
That's so true. They
play
talk
a
about that,
sport,
yeah.
and so well-rounded is no more.
oh,
Colleges
no?
are not. Look, I feel like I'm surprising you with everything I say.
I know.
Colleges
Wait, so
are.
the community services is not.
Well, so here's the thing.
Okay.
What Deborah said is right.
Yeah.
So you don't have to have everything. You don't have to have a sport and an instrument and a theater and community service and, 6 clubs at school. You need like 2 or 3 that you're deeply, deeply involved in. And what we call that when you're very, like I had a parent call me last week whose son is trying out for the Olympics in a particular sport. So
Yeah.
what's the opposite of well-rounded? We call it pointy.
What's that?
Oh.
Well,
Pointy, right.
so if well-rounded, pointy is the opposite, right? It's
okay.
almost like the unicorn. I have
Yeah,
a little
yeah,
unicorn in my
yeah.
office. So Olympics is pointy. The problem is that I think some kids and some parents, once they hear that pointy thing, they think, oh, my son is a high-level 2-sport athlete. He's pointy. There's a lot of kids who play 2 sports. There's a lot
That's
of kids
true.
who do, who take the piano like up to level 10 or whatever. So that's not pointy. Pointy is, writing your own concerto and having it published and somebody plays it and records it. That's pointy. It's hard to be pointy.
Okay.
And now everyone's going to run around trying to be pointy.
I know. I'm
but-
gonna have to
But you
write
don't
that.
have to be well-rounded. And so the thing about community services, like 10 hours doesn't really buy you anything. 25 hours doesn't really buy you anything. A couple hundred hours because it's something you really care about,
Yeah.
that buys you something. That's that passion that Deborah was talking about.
Okay, all right. So I know because nowadays they're like, oh, you need 10 hours of community service. I'm like, for what? It's like, oh, you need it for college. I said, oh, really?
Not really.
Not really?
Not really.
Unless you really do it as
Unless you
unless
love
you do
it,
you
and
love
you
it,
do
it's your
it every
passion, and
week,
you-
right.
Yeah, and
Right.
you do it every week,
Right.
and that's how it will. Oh, I didn't know that. Aha! So we don't really have to do it then.
Unless it's required by your school. I mean,
Okay.
unless your child is really willing to do it to a really deep level because it's something they really care about,
Yeah.
I wouldn't bother.
Okay, so this question is for you. What have you found is the most common mistakes that parents make when helping their children select colleges?
Select colleges.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
have both.
it's getting stuck on the names. It's 2 things. It's thinking that you can get into any UC you want,
Okay.
which you can't these days.
Yeah.
And it's just getting stuck on the names. Most of the time people come to us. The schools that they give us are all reach.
Yes.
Applying to 8 schools that have a below 20% acceptance rate doesn't.
Yeah.
It's not cumulative, right? You don't have like that plus
Much,
plus
yeah.
plus chance of
Yeah.
getting in. You still have an 8% chance of getting in. So that's a big mistake.
These are questions that they gave me yesterday. What level of responsibility do the parents have? I think, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
What level of responsibility do the parents have when they're going to college? How much responsibility can you give your children?
Once they're already there?
Yeah.
Or before?
Well, I think
When they're
before.
applying.
Yeah, when they're applying. Are you like 101%? You know what I mean? Like you wanna
Yeah.
you wanna be the one doing this and not your child, right? I mean,
Right.
or you leave your child like what I did. I didn't even know. Oh, you do it yourself. Like do it.
My husband and I were definitely hands-on. We definitely knew what was going
Yeah.
on. We were interested. We talked a lot about it. But as far as the nuts and bolts of the application process, I really left that up to
With
her.
her.
She was, you know,
See?
if she had
Leave it to your
questions, she would come
child.
ask us or get our opinion. But that was really something that she did because it's all electronic
It's
now
good.
too.
Yeah,
so they sit on
yeah.
their computers
Yeah.
and they do it. It's not like when I was applying. and
typewriter.
We
Yeah.
would type it or we would have all these
Yeah.
brochures and send it in.
Yep.
So it's something that, you know, the students
Yeah.
really need to do. Also, I think the schools really want the essays to be authentic. They do not want the parents involved. They don't
parents.
want the parents writing them.
So
And they say
true.
They can tell.
They can tell.
when it's
Yeah.
too polished,
Yeah.
let's say.
I
Or
know.
too adult. Or too adult.
right.
Yeah.
And I would say this honestly, like you've been warned. College admissions officers make fun of you when the essays come in and they can tell that a 45-year-old has written it. It's so obvious.
Oh my gosh.
So obvious. So
really?
we go to these conferences with college admissions people and they're like, "Do you remember the essay with the blah blah blah? That was so the mom." And we're like, "Oh my god."
No.
Yeah, for real. They literally make fun of you.
Okay, don't.
Don't be that mom.
It has to
No.
be authentic.
I kind of like know someone that does it, but don't. So don't write the essay for your kids, you guys, because they know
Yep.
it's not good. Okay, it's not good. So how? I think this is for you. How do you approach working with college applicants?
So the funny part is the answer to almost every question you ask me is it depends.
Depends. Okay.
It depends on the kid, you know, and I would say to what you just asked Deb, you know, it depends on how self-starting the kid is. If they're ready to take charge, what I say is you're the quarterback, right? I'm the coach, I'm on the sidelines or the cheerleader. I'm cheering for you, I'm throwing suggestions, I'm writing the plays every now and then.
Yeah.
But some kids need a little more hand-holding, and that's fine. That's fine.
That's fine.
We can do that.
Okay. All right. So see, I asked your questions. Okay. So Deb, what was there any mistake, something that your family dealt with while you're doing the whole college thing? So just, you know, we all know because it's not gonna be all perfect. Was there any like mistake or things that you thought, oh, I should have done this or that? Or she's such a perfectionist, by the way.
True.
Yeah. She's so organized.
I can't think of any mistakes that time
Yeah.
around. I have to say though, the type of student my daughter is,
Yeah.
it did make it easier
Easy.
on the parents, you know, in that
Yeah.
regard.
Yeah.
So it all worked out
is-
for her.
That's so good. But was there any time that, like, you know, with them it's easier? Was there any time that you helped someone where the mom or the parents and the daughter or the son
Yeah.
did not really like,
Sure,
you
sure.
know,
Well,
agree with each other?
Yeah, one of the things Max brought up was, you know,
Yeah.
sometimes the mom will come in and say, we really want to stay in California, and I
We'll
look
get
straight at the
close,
student
yeah.
and I say, no, do you want to stay in California?
Yeah.
Will you consider going outside of
Yeah.
California? I hate to say it, but it's not your journey. It's your kid's journey. And the truth is, look, I grew up in the Valley. I went 3,000 miles away for college. I spent 6 years on the East Coast, and then I realized it's cold in the winter, and
Yes.
P.S. it's hot in the summer. I came home.
Yeah,
They're gonna
I
come
know.
home. So let them go. Let them experience life. Like I have a student right now. She's deciding, believe it or not, she's deciding between UCLA, Berkeley, and Georgia Tech.
Wow.
Guess which one I'm rooting for? She just visited Georgia Tech last weekend. She sent me this cute little picture, and I'm like, I'm literally just hoping. It's a huge growth experience to go out of state, right?
Yes, it really is. I really enjoyed it.
Really?
Yeah, I did.
How? Okay, this is I actually want to ask you this question. How if you are only accepted in one college and you don't have any other choice, and the kid does not want to go to that
Yeah.
school? I have one girl that I know of.
Yep.
That, you know, she was accepted and she's like, no, I really want to go to this school, but this is the only college that accepted me.
Right.
Would you advise them to go for that?
So there's a couple choices. You could take a
Okay.
gap year, but you
Okay.
have to remember, if you take a gap year, you're basically like gambling on whether or not the next year's class, the class behind you, is going to be as competitive as your class was. And the likelihood is it probably will be. So unless you do something really spectacular on your gap year and show a real difference in what you presented a year ago, you're not likely to get in the second time around. So gap year is a choice. You could start at one college and transfer to another college. Like we said, nobody's going to ask you where you started college. It's all about where you graduate.
That's true. Yeah.
And you could look for other choices. There's lots of colleges right now with with open admission policies where they're happy to take you right now if you really don't have choices.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I did with a kid yesterday.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, I think if you're willing to be flexible and patient,
Yeah.
things can really work out.
Right.
It's really just people who are stuck on one
Yes.
particular thing.
Yeah, I
That's where
know.
the pressure
Yes.
comes
Yeah.
from.
And that's the feeling. Like, did you see what you did with your body?
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't want your child
Yes,
to
that
feel like
tension.
that and
Yeah.
to feel like they've disappointed you if they
Right.
don't get that thing. That's a
That's
lot of
so
pressure
true.
for a 17-year-old.
Exactly. Evelyn, is there an aspect of the college admissions process that some parents are surprised to learn about, or that you find a lot of parents have difficult dealing with?
Well, we talk about this all the time.
Yeah.
You know, the kids who come to us and they have like a 3.0 or a 3.2.
What is the average, by the way? That
Oh, you're gonna love this.
Oh, oh no, what?
I got my numbers. So 40% of high school graduating seniors have a 4.0. We have a serious grade
But they say that
inflation.
4.0 is still not as high.
Well,
It's still,
it's because of the weighted situation. So when I calculate a GPA, it's always unweighted, because if you go into your junior year thinking I have a 4.2 and a blah blah test score, I'm going to Georgetown. And when I've had this happen. Literally, it was Georgetown. The kid was stuck on Georgetown, and when I recalculated her GPA, it was 3.5. So here's the thing: if your child comes to you and says, "Well, I got a B, but it's in an AP class, so it's really like an A," you know what I
Yeah.
want you to do? Dial my phone number and hand them the phone, and I will tell them this is an A. It's pointy at the top.
Yeah.
It is not a B. A B looks totally different than an A. A B
Yeah.
behaves different than an A. Someone else got an A. And
Yeah.
that means someone else has a higher GPA than you do. It's frustrating, but you have to sort of see your place in the spectrum of what's out there. And even for super top kids with top grades and top test scores, you know, Harvard rejects 80% of the valedictorians who apply every year. 80%.
I thought
Stanford,
if you're a valedictorian, you're like,
nope.
automatic.
Stanford rejects 70% of the students with perfect SAT or ACT scores. 70%. They literally could fill their class 3 times over with perfect scores. What does that mean? That's not all they're looking for. They're looking
The
for more.
valedictorian in my daughter's high school class went to community college. Did not get into any because
What?
it only applied to those elite
Wrong
schools.
list. Wrong list.
Wrong list.
So when people say to me, didn't get in anywhere, I say, wrong list. There's 2,200, remember?
Yeah, I know.
Did you apply to all 2,200 of them? No, you didn't.
No, because you only applied to the
And
top.
only at a certain, right, only applying to a select.
That's a big
No,
mistake.
That is like so sad. So what are they looking for? What are they really looking for?
They're looking for the bumper sticker. They're looking for the prestige of having a bumper sticker on their car and telling all their friends at the country club that their kid goes to blah blah blah. And if you take a step back from that, or that their kid goes to the school where I went, like, listen, I couldn't get into the school where I went to college today. I couldn't get in. So take a step back and look at your child like the human being that they are and are intended to be, and say, let's talk about your journey. Let's talk about who you want to be in the world and where you want to continue your education and what kind of environment is a good environment for you to contribute to. Let's start with that instead of the names. Don't worry about the names.
How did you find the passion, or that course that Devin wanted to, to achieve, like because sometimes there are other kids that I still don't know what course to take. I still don't know, what I'm really passionate about. Did she already knew from the beginning what she wanted, or did you kind of help her and guided her?
She was inspired by some of the classes that she took at her school. So she was involved in an advanced English literature program at her school, and she kind of fell in love with that.
Yeah.
And so she had a sense that she might want to be an English major.
Aww.
But she also really loves the sciences.
Yeah.
So one of the things she looked for at a school was where they would encourage double majors. And Evelyn talked a little bit about this too, that
Yeah.
some schools really encourage you to take classes across all different disciplines, and it's easy to double major, and they encourage it. And so that was one of the
That was
factors
one of the
for her.
factors. Oh yeah. There's one here. Is it important for kids to do extra work, charity work, do a podcast, or have a strong social media? Oh, that's so true.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So
Does that help? Because I also know one we kind of like know people that they want to do a podcast show or do things, or she has a lot of social media and she's doing this and that. Is that can that be a
I think it could be a plus or a minus.
Okay.
So some colleges will actually check kids' social media accounts to see if there's any red flags. I mean, honestly, after what we just saw, I mean, I strongly don't recommend that you make videos of yourself talking about how you're not so into school. It's probably not a good idea.
That's so true. How about like doing a charity podcast show, or like not charity but like
or
charity
any charity work. Like I have a student who raised, oh my God, he raised like $43,000 for leukemia and lymphoma, and they gave him an award. And the cool part is he was totally not involved with this charity before, but he's so competitive that he wants to raise more now because he got excited about how, and so that's how kids can get, like, that's passion, right? And he didn't have it 6 months ago, but he developed it because he went through this process, and they they kind of gave him accolades, and he thought that was cool, so he's gonna keep going.
Oh, that's good. How about podcasts?
Podcasts are interesting. I mean, so the one thing that's difficult about this process is we kind
remember
of...
she was going to do that. She was going to, a friend of ours, her daughter, she was going to do a podcast show,
And the mother thought it was such a good idea.
It was such a good idea.
Oh, interesting. I feel like the college admissions process, we kind of squash them down into paper, like your test scores and your transcripts and teacher recs, and a podcast can turn you back into a human. So I think it could be a really good idea. It depends on what she talks about and where she goes with it.
As long as maybe it's an encouraging and inspiring topic for teenagers, or Max,
I think
right?
that'd be interesting.
I think that would be very, very interesting, right? Maybe she should do it.
Maybe she should do
It
it.
all depends on what school she
It
goes
all
to.
depends. Yeah, it all depends on what
It
school
all
she.
depends.
Yeah.
What about activist children? That was another question.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Kids who are like passionate about activism.
So there's a lot of them now. Unfortunately, the school shootings situation has just like exploded in the lifetime of these kids. You have to remember we're grown-ups and we've had all this life experience, but if you're 17, you've seen school shootings like pretty much 3 times a year
Yeah,
for the last
I
couple
know,
years.
yeah.
So there's definitely a lot of activism around that, and unfortunately, I don't think it stands out as much because so many kids are involved in those particular issues. But I've definitely seen students involved in, I'm trying to think of some really good issues, some LGBT or trans rights issues that that definitely have been unique and interesting and that have helped them stand out.
Oh, that's interesting. Oh, wait. I need to ask you this because this is like normal for, not normal, but I mean, it happens all the time. How, when Deb was already in college, did she choose her own roommate, or was she nervous that she didn't know her roommate?
Right.
You
I
know
was going to
what?
bring this up when you started
was,
talking
you
about
know,
social
when-
media,
yeah.
because social media has
how
really
Oh,
changed
totally.
Yeah.
how the roommates
Yeah.
come together.
Because I think now you know who your roommate is,
was,
right?
It was so interesting,
Yeah.
and you'll get a kick
Yeah.
out of this. But basically, once the decisions are announced, there's typically Facebook groups specifically
Oh, wow.
for the incoming freshmen,
Yeah.
and
What?
everybody starts chatting.
Yep.
And the process is a lot like online dating.
Ah!
It is so funny. So kids they make their own bios with photos,
Wow.
with what
What?
their interests are, with what they're looking for in a roommate. And
Oh my gosh!
That's kinda cool,
really?
though.
People get
That's
paired
so
up.
cool. That's so
Yeah,
cool.
it was actually
though.
really fun.
So they basically like chose their roommate through the Facebook.
they did. So
group.
they chatted through
Yeah.
Facebook, and then if there's a connection, you might move on to Snapchat or Instagram or something like that.
What?
But,
That's so
but
cool.
people started pairing off pretty quickly, and
Interesting.
so then it becomes if someone asks you and you think they're
Yeah.
really nice, but maybe you don't want to commit quite yet.
Yeah.
You start
Because you
saying
wanna, like,
things
you
like,
wanna
FOMO.
check
I
the
really
way
like
Roommate.
you. It's not you,
Yeah.
it's me, and
Roommate
I want to
FOMO.
be friends.
Yeah.
It was funny.
Oh my
So
gosh.
some people still do it the old-fashioned way,
Yeah.
and if they don't connect with somebody, they do it random, and that can
Some
work out great
colleges,
too.
Yeah.
some colleges
Yeah.
don't let you pick your roommate.
Oh,
like they
wow.
just it's
yeah,
randomly
my
assigned.
friend,
Okay.
my friend did the same thing. Is it important to do?
Nope, next
oh, hold on. LGBTQ students
Yeah.
are there red flag schools not to attend? Oh,
Yeah,
That's a better question.
that's a great question. So there's
Yeah.
this website called Pride Index, and
Pride
or
Index.
it's Campus Pride. It's called Campus Pride.
Campus
Just Google
Pride.
Campus Pride. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I know they give like the top schools where it's welcome and there's lots of activities and a welcoming environment. I'm pretty sure that there might be a like not so good list on that website
Okay.
on Campus Pride. So,
it's
check
called,
that out.
It's called
Party schools, yeah.
party school.
No,
Google
Camp.
it. No, but
That's his next topic.
question.
Oh, is there any? Oh, yeah. Is there any? Is there?
Red flag schools is what the question was.
For party schools.
Yeah.
Well,
if your student wants to go, no.
right, yeah, right. I mean, it's a conversation you need to have with your teenager. I always feel like if you,
How do you know though? If it's a party school, how do you know if the
you'll
school
know,
is like?
you'll know,
How?
you'll know. There's okay. So I use Niche, NICHE, and it used to be called College Prowler, and it's actually student reviews, and one of the categories is like the party scene. So you'll know if there's a reputation as a party school. But my feeling is, I don't know. You have a kid in college.
gosh.
If your kid doesn't have a problem with drinking and partying in high school, they're
so
probably
true.
not going to have a problem in college. But it's a conversation you have to have, right?
That's so
Definitely,
true.
because any school can become
Yes,
a party school
yes.
Yeah.
if that's, how your child gravitates towards.
Right,
Or
right,
actually,
right.
the conversations you have to have before. But
Yeah.
I mean, some schools I think do have a reputation more than others.
Sure.
Yeah.
But it's true. It is very kid specific because
Yeah.
any school can be.
I would also say if you're investing, tens of thousands of dollars in a college education for your child, you should have a conversation with them and say, honey,
Definitely.
here's what we're paying. Here's what
Yeah.
we expect from you.
Yeah.
You need to get through the year, and here's our goals, and you can have fun, but
Right.
I'm
there
so
needs to
glad
be.
my daughter's not like that. She chose because I heard when she went to Santa Barbara, I was like, Santa Barbara, that's a party place. Oh, that's a party school.
Yeah,
blah
I
blah.
love
blah. And she was like, okay, mom, I'm not gonna stay in one of their dorms. So she's so good. She's like a good girl. We rented a room for her outside the campus.
Right.
But she still like joined them. But she's like, no, if I'm in there, I won't be able. Because one time I went to the just check one of the the rooms. I'm like, there's 4 kids in one room. I'm like, oh my
Right,
gosh. And she's
right.
like, I won't be able to study here. So I had to get her another like
See,
room
she had her
outside.
priorities.
Yeah. So don't worry.
Yeah.
Parents, if you will know if you have good kids, like my daughter. Hi, guys. Hello. You would don't worry about your kids because they know they won't. If they're not like a party
Right.
people, they won't. So, what is this?
It's alarms.org.
Alarms.
For a list of safest colleges in America.
Oh, ooh.
Oh,
That's a big
okay.
issue too.
All right. So don't forget if you want to check out the safest colleges, go to alarms.com. See?
Alarms.org.
Alarms.org.
I would also say this:
Yeah.
you can ask any college what their Clery numbers are,
Yeah.
and that is the sexual assault reporting law,
Oh, yeah.
and that's something that colleges have to track these days.
Oh, I want to
yeah.
What was it again?
Well, it's the Clery, CLERAY, EARY, Clery. Yeah.
Okay. So, oh my gosh, this is like
got it
done
right. 1
already.
minute,
Oh my
yes.
gosh, hold on. I have so much stuff. Okay. Okay, Evelyn, one more. Okay, last advice. What is your advice? Quick. 1 minute advice. Last advice.
Go beyond the names you know. Go beyond the names you know. It's the best advice I can give.
Okay.
And start early.
Start early.
Start early.
One
Yeah.
other thing I would mention is that a lot of schools now want to see something that they call demonstrated interest. So if there's a school that you're interested
Yeah.
in, you can't get to every school,
Yeah.
but if there's a few, try to get there, show them that you're really interested.
Oh, so you just go there.
It makes
and
a difference to some schools.
To some.
Really?
To some, yeah.
Okay. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. Wait, where can they
So
reach
our
you?
website is MagellanCounseling.com, and our phone number is 8775-MAGGIE. She's our little mascot.
Okay, www.magellan
MagellanCounseling.com.
and look for Evelyn.
Yep.
She's the best. Sending a child to college can be a difficult experience to handle, but there are definitely ways to make it easier. Do yourself a favor and don't take on the process alone. First, where is that? I think ask your child what she really is passionate about, then research for the right school, counseling companies, ask questions, ask for help, and most important, talk to your child and make sure that you're making decisions that both of you agreed to, and of course, that your child loves. Okay, and for my tip of the day, because I researched and they're really one of the best company, College Counseling, contact Magellan College Counseling at www.magellancounseling.com. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, cheers! Thank you for coming. You've loved the next post Siya po.
You're listening to Polished Woman, only on LA Talk Radio.